Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Melanie for those that are new here, and I have been sharing my cancer journey after being diagnosed with nasal squamous cell carcinoma almost 2 years ago now. It'll be 2 years next month, which also ultimately resulted in the loss of my left eye. I recently did a Q&A over on Instagram where I did like an ask me anything kind of thing while I was at my infusion, and then I realized I really haven't done that here on YouTube, and so I opened a chat box letting people know that they could ask me anything, and if to ask me anything they would like me to address in a video. So I've gotten a couple questions now, and I'm going to start kind of addressing those in the next couple of videos. If you have any questions, in the comment section of this video, I will do a prompt. Just drop your questions there and I will try and answer them if there's something that apply to my journey, and if it's something you feel will be helpful for you to know or for others to know, just drop those questions and I will try and do videos answering them. So one of the first questions I got was actually about my diet, and has it changed since my diagnosis, things like that. So I'm going to kind of answer those questions. There was a couple questions asked within that span of my diet, and actually that was a big thing for me at the very beginning of my diagnosis, and I just kind of wanted to share that. I was originally going to potentially integrate it into another video that I'm planning to do about holistic treatment options versus traditional, chemo treatment options, because that was also a big thing for me at the beginning of my diagnosis. And also, once you're diagnosed with cancer, apparently everyone gets it, but you have so many people telling you to do so many different things, and it can be very overwhelming, and I just kind of wanted to share that, but that's a different video for a different day. Today's video is just about diet and any dietary changes I did, and what my diet journey has kind of looked like through my cancer journey. So my diet, to begin with, we are fairly clean eaters. We've, since stuff has come out about the ingredients in our food, for years we have been watching the food we eat, like what we intake, trying not to eat a bunch of, dyes, things like that. But are we 100% clean eaters? Were we before my diagnosis? No. I liked going to the movies and occasionally having some Milk Duds or Sour Patch Kids with my popcorn, which who even knows what's on the popcorn in movie theaters? So, but growing up was a very different story for me. I was very much a product of the 90s, and I loved me some Fruit Loops, and like cereal was our breakfast every morning, and it wasn't like Mini Wheats or Oat Bran. It was Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms and all of those things. All things that now we do not let my daughter eat. Granted, she's still a little young for cereal anyways, but she will not be eating them the way I ate them as a child, and we're very, very particular about what we let her eat. There are things that we still eat now that we will not let her eat, just because of the ingredients in them, and trying to be mindful of what we are putting in her body. And in that same sense, yes, my diet has changed, but I wouldn't say significantly. We just are trying to be very mindful about what we're putting in our bodies, both myself and my husband, and even more mindful for our daughter. A lot of the damage, I think, for me, for our generation, that's a whole nother video. I feel like we are the cancer generation, and I feel like has a lot to do with the food that we were raised on, because we were the generation of the processed food movement, I guess, making things for less money by including a lot of really crappy ingredients. And I feel like there's a shift happening that's working on changing that. But I do feel like all these people in their 30s and early 40s getting cancer has a lot to do with the diets we had as children. Yeah, again, another video for another day. But my diet has changed. But when I first was diagnosed, I freaked out would be the right word. And I just started looking up everything. We got the Chris Beat Cancer book and started looking into this diet and that diet. But that's part of the issue. There are so many different diets that people tell you to follow if you're on cancer. Like Chris Beats Cancer is all about eating like salads, and you can have fruit, but not a lot of fruit, salads, and eating like broccoli and cauliflower are like a big thing with that diet. There's, supposed to be a lot of different cancer-fighting nutrients in broccoli and cauliflower specifically, and this salad that he makes. And so we went down that route, and I was literally eating a salad every day, and it was tearing up my mouth because I was on chemo, so then I couldn't even eat the salad. And it got to the point where it was so stressful. That was more deterrent to my health detriment. That was more of a detriment to my health than the way I was eating, because we, like I said, eat pretty clean. Other people will tell you to do the carnivore diet, eat only meat, don't eat vegetables, eat meat and fruit. Other people will tell you, I know there's like a Joe Tippins protocol, and his diet is different than other diets. And there are so many different diets that people will say worked for them. Like juicing and all of those things. We got a juicer. I was juicing every day. And we went like super in, and we have now backed off of that some, because what happened was my body wasn't getting any of the correct nutrients it needed, and I lost so much weight, very scary amount of weight, which also was partially because I was throwing up all the time due to my radiation, but I wasn't getting the nutrients that I needed because of how much I was restricting what I was putting in my body. And so we backed off of that. And the amount of stress that came off of my body when I did that has been much more helpful than completely shifting my diet, like doing a complete 180. For someone, like I said, who eats fairly clean, we went back to just doing that and eating clean and being mindful of what we were putting in our bodies. And that helped a lot. I had started to put some of the weight back on. I'm still working on putting on weight. But right now, what I am doing for my diet is being pretty protein forward and trying to prioritize proteins. A woman's body in general, I'm pretty sure this is the right number. I could be wrong. And it depends too a little bit on your body type and all of that. But a woman's body in general should be getting at least 80 grams of protein a day to help your body optimally function. People say to go more protein heavy when some people say to go more protein heavy. Other people say, not protein. But you just have to do what's right for your body. And protein fuels my body. So usually in the morning I wake up and I have a protein shake made with bone broth protein. I was originally doing pea-based protein, vegetarian protein, and I stopped doing that. Protein typically comes from meat. There are other ways to get protein in. You can get protein through other sources, but the bone broth protein has been better for me. So I usually wake up and I have a bone broth protein. I add avocado, banana, and then some kind of berry to it usually. And then I also add bone broth. You can add bone broth to a smoothie. It will not taste like you're drinking soup. I do bone broth, either chicken or beef, 8 ounces of that, 1 scoop of my protein, about half of an avocado, some banana. My kid just screamed. She should still be sleeping. She just went down. Maybe I'm talking too loud. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I may have to shut this video off early. But yes, 8 ounces bone broth protein, scoop of bone broth, 8 ounces of bone broth, 1 scoop of bone broth protein, usually chocolate or salted caramel, half of an avocado, half of a banana, and then some kind of either berry, or I'll add like riced cauliflower in there, and I blend it all up, and then I drink that in the mornings. And that kind of helps me get a good protein start for the day. It's really hard for me right now to get all my protein from a whole food source, like just like, meat, like waking up and eating eggs or eating chicken, or, something like that. That's hard for me right now because it's still really hard for me to eat. It takes me a long time to eat. So smoothies are just a good way to kind of get the day started. And then I try and have meat, some kind of protein with lunch. And then again, we do protein and then usually some kind of vegetable with dinner. And then if I do snack, which I'm not a huge snacker, but if I do snack, I just try and be mindful of what I'm snacking on. We avoid seed oils as much as possible. We avoid any, super heavy additives. We try and get options with as least ingredients as possible. The less ingredients we cannot pronounce. So things like that. We're just really trying to be mindful of how we eat and what we eat. I still enjoy ice cream at the end of the day sometimes, and that's actually helped me put on weight, but we go for cleaner ice cream options. We do things that are made with real cream, real eggs, real ice cream options, not ice cream made with all these additives. Like Ben & Jerry's, lots of additives. Haagen-Dazs actually does not have very many additives. And then if you go to Sprouts or somewhere like that, they have a lot of healthy ice cream options. Some that are good, some that are not so good. They're, what is it called? Van Leeuwen, the Van something ice creams. Them's are so good, and they are clean. So really, we're just trying to eat clean. I know you also have people that'll tell you completely cut out all sugar, and I went down that road too when we were first diagnosed, and trying to avoid all sugar. One, they will tell you your body needs sugar. Your body needs sugar for it to optimally work. Does that mean go and get a ton of added sugars? No. So we try and avoid things with added sugars, but we don't worry as much if it's, sugars from natural sources like fruit or, cream or things like that. So we just try and avoid any like excessively added sugar. But when I was trying to completely eat zero sugar, I was going insane. I was it wasn't healthy. It just wasn't healthy for me. And there are people that do no sugar once they're diagnosed with cancer, and you have to do what works for you. But for me, that did not work. I lost too much weight. I wasn't healthy, and I was stressed and angry and sad. So we have now gone back to enjoying an indulgence sometimes when I feel like it's warranted. And like I said, I do eat ice cream in the evenings. It has helped me stay full. It has helped me stay sane. And it's been a nice treat to kind of help me keep my weight on. Well, first get my weight back up and then keep it on. I did not used to eat ice cream, actually. That's one of the changes that has happened since cancer. I was not a huge ice cream fan. Now my body almost craves something like creamy and something creamy like that, with those, fats in it and things like that. My body needs it. I also, before cancer was drinking almond milk, and I have switched. If I do drink milk now, which isn't often, I usually do a whole cow-based milk. So, but again, looking for organic, clean options. And yeah, so that's how my diet has and hasn't changed. Like I said, it changed significantly at first to the point of stress and unhealthy habits, and I have gone back to eating just mindfully and clean, and that's my diet. I eat fish, I eat red meat, I eat fruits and vegetables. I'll occasionally have chips, but I just get clean chips. We really like the Siete, even though they just got bought out by Pepsi, so I'm worried their ingredients are going to start changing. And then the Boulder Canyon. Those are the cleanest chips we've found. All made with avocado oil or a non-seed-based oil. So we really try and avoid seed oils, try and avoid dyes, anything like that. And then part of their question was, to what degree is your diet a part of your overall treatment plan? For us, like, it's not a huge, like I said, we're just eating clean. I'm not using my diet as a way to necessarily cure my cancer, because one, after all the research I did at the beginning of my diagnosis, you don't know what's going to work for your individual body, which, like, people claim, oh, this will heal your cancer, or this will cure your cancer by doing this diet and this diet. And really, if you look into the research behind it, it has worked for like 1 or 2 people, and then other people have done it and it has been to their detriment. So you don't know what type of diet will work for your body type. If you want to go down that route where you're using your diet as a way to help kind of like be part of your treatment plan, I would recommend going to an integrative medicine doctor, letting them run your blood work. I did that. I still use a lot of the supplements and the vitamins that they recommended for me. They recommended I try gluten-free, and I did that for a while, and I do try and not do tons of gluten, but I am not completely gluten-free. But that was what was recommended for me, was to try and go gluten-free and just see how that worked for my body. But otherwise, that was like the most from a diet perspective that they recommended for me. And so if you are going to look into that for a part of your treatment plan, I recommend going to see like either an integrative or a holistic doctor and having them do your specific blood work to see what type of diet might work for you, because what worked for someone else's protocol is not necessarily going to work for you. There are tons of people who have tried diets and also not had success with them in a way that it did not help and really more so hurt their healing. So you just have to be careful of what of the choices you're making, and everyone's choices are different, and you have to be, I feel like that's not an answer. That's like a non-answer, because you just have to explore it and see what's going to work for you. And then I also got a, do you fast before, during, or after chemo treatments? I do not. I have considered it. I've heard that fasting before your chemo treatments can really help with your chemo and can help side effects. But again, for me, my body needed to eat. I was just, there were times I was fasting because I couldn't eat anything. And that just, I was just so sick. Like, it would make me sicker to not have food in my body than it did to eat. If I was able to eat before chemo, I did a lot better. And so for me, that just wasn't something we've explored right now. If I end up having to do more chemo down the road, that once my strength is built up and once I put meat back on my bones, that may be something I do before chemo, just to see how my body responds to it. But it's not something I'm doing right now. So I really can't speak to that. I don't know. I don't have personal experience with doing that, so I can't, say one way or another how it would have really worked for me if I wasn't so sick when I was technically fasting, without meaning to fast. I would maybe be able to get down like half of a protein, not even a protein shake that I made. I was doing like Kate Farms, which is a protein supplement, but it has stuff in it that I wouldn't. It has ingredients in it that are still clean. Kate Farms is like the cleanest brand of like Boost or Ensure or something like that. Kate Farms is comparable to that, but with a lot cleaner ingredients, but still not ingredients that I would be like, yeah, these are 100% clean, go for this, this is great. No, this was all I could get down, and I needed something on my body, and so there were days that would be all I could get down before I would go to chemo, and that was the closest I got to, and by getting it down, I mean I drank like maybe half of the bottle, and that was it. That would be the closest I ever got to fasting before chemo. So I don't know how helpful this video was in the sense that I didn't fully change my diet. I just feel like you have to be really mindful about your diet. You have to be really mindful about what you're putting in your body. You have to really be mindful about how it's affecting your body in the terms of what dietary changes you make, because like I said, when I went completely 180 and those couple weeks of stressing myself out did more harm to my body than it would have if I had just cleaned up a little bit more of what we eat. Like we stopped eating Sour Patch Kids. I do not eat Sour Patch Kids anymore. I do not eat Milk Duds anymore. I do not eat any like processed candies like that on a regular basis. Occasionally I might have like a gummy bear here or there if somebody offers me a gummy bear, but I'm not buying them for myself. If I do buy gummy bears now, because I do like gummies, I do, I go to Sprouts and I get a clean, like made with completely 100% fruit, and I think the ones I got are 100% fruit, and I can't remember what the oils are in them. One was coconut oil, I know. I think another one was sunflower oil, and so I won't be getting that one again because I didn't realize it was sunflower oil, even though those were better than the coconut oil ones. But I will continue my search for clean gummies, gummy bears, because I do like gummy bears when I go to the movies, which is not very often anymore because of my diagnosis and my daughter. It just makes it hard to go to the movies and have a movie date. But that was like really the only time I ate candy per se. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions about my diet things, what I did in the beginning versus what I'm doing now, feel free to ask. And then again, like I said, if you have any other questions, not diet related, I'm going to put I'm going to pin a comment to this video thread, and feel free to ask me in there, and I will try and do a video answering those questions. So I hope this was helpful in some way, and that it answered the question for the person who was asking me. And yeah. Bye. Happy eating.